This psalm will renew your strength today. There are days when your body is awake, but something inside you feels completely drained. You try to move forward, you try to stay strong, but deep down, it feels like you're running on empty. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. You wake up already tired. Your thoughts don't slow down. The pressure keeps building. And even when nothing is visibly wrong, something inside you feels off, heavy, distant. It's like you've lost a part of your strength and you don't even know where it went. And the hardest part is this: you don't always have the words to explain it. People around you may not see it. They may think you're fine, but inside, you're carrying a weight that keeps growing quietly. There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, a kind of tiredness that rest doesn't reach. And when you stay in that place too long, you start to believe something is wrong with you. You start questioning your faith, your direction, even your purpose. But what if this isn't the end of your strength? What if what you're feeling right now is not a sign that you're breaking, but a moment where something deeper is being revealed? There is a psalm that speaks directly into this kind of moment, not from a place of perfection, but from someone who understood what it means to feel weak, overwhelmed, and at the limit. And hidden inside this psalm is not just comfort, but a way to recover what you feel like you've lost. A strength that doesn't come from pushing harder, but from reconnecting with something most people overlook. If your soul feels tired today, this is not random. There is a reason you're here, hearing this right now. There is a quiet kind of pain that doesn't show on the outside, but slowly drains everything on the inside. You keep going, you keep showing up, you keep doing what needs to be done, but something within you is wearing out. And at some point, a thought begins to form. Maybe I'm just not strong enough. That thought feels real. It feels convincing. But it's also one of the biggest misunderstandings people carry in moments like this. Feeling tired does not mean you are weak. Feeling overwhelmed does not mean you are failing. And reaching your limit does not mean you've lost your faith. In fact, some of the strongest people are the ones who feel this kind of exhaustion, because they've been carrying more than they were meant to carry, for longer than they should have. The problem is not that you don't have strength. The problem is where you've been trying to find it. Many people try to solve internal exhaustion with external effort. They try to think more, do more, control more, fix everything at once. But the more they push, the more drained they become. It turns into a silent cycle. The less strength you feel, the harder you try. And the harder you try, the more your strength disappears. This is where something shifts. Because the kind of strength your soul needs is not the kind you can force. It's not built through pressure. It's not sustained by constant effort. And this is exactly where this psalm begins to make sense. It speaks to people who are not at their best, but at their limit. People who are not pretending to be strong, but are aware that they can't keep going the same way. And instead of demanding more from you, it invites you into a different way of being strengthened. Not by pretending everything is fine, not by ignoring what you feel, but by understanding something deeper about where real strength comes from. When you see this clearly, something inside you starts to loosen. The pressure begins to lift, even if your situation hasn't changed yet, because for the first time you realize maybe the issue was never your lack of strength, but the way you've been trying to hold everything together alone. There is something powerful about realizing that the Bible was not written by people who had everything under control. It was written by people who felt fear, pressure, exhaustion, just like you. This psalm is not a speech from someone sitting in comfort. It is a voice that comes from the middle of struggle, from someone who knew what it felt like to be overwhelmed, to feel small in the face of life, to reach a point where their own strength was no longer enough. And that changes everything. Because now, this is no longer just a religious text. It becomes a mirror, a reflection of what happens inside you when you're trying to keep going, but something within you is fading. When you listen to this psalm with that understanding, it stops being distant. It becomes personal. The words are not trying to impress you. They are trying to meet you where you are. And what's even more profound is this: the psalm doesn't deny weakness. It acknowledges it. It brings it into the light instead of hiding it. That alone is healing. Because many people spend so much energy trying to look strong that they never allow themselves to be restored. They keep covering the tiredness, suppressing the anxiety, pushing through the weight, until they feel completely empty. But this psalm does the opposite. It starts from honesty. It recognizes the moment when human strength reaches its limit, and instead of saying, "Try harder," it reveals something unexpected, something most people overlook. That real strength does not begin where you are at your best. It begins exactly where you admit that you are not. This is where the shift happens. Because now you are no longer trying to prove that you are strong. You are opening space for a strength that does not depend on how you feel in this moment. And that is what makes this psalm so different. It doesn't pressure you. It doesn't accuse you. It doesn't demand that you fix yourself before approaching God. It meets you in your weakness and begins from there. Listen carefully to these words, not just with your mind, but with everything you're carrying inside right now. Isaiah chapter 40, verses 29 to 31. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. There is something deeply personal in this. It doesn't say he gives strength to those who have it all together. It says he gives strength to the weary. That means this promise is not for the strong version of you. It's for the version of you that feels tired, stretched, and close to the edge. And notice something else. It acknowledges that even the strongest people, the young, the capable, the ones who seem full of energy, they also reach a point where they fall. This removes the illusion that strength is something you can maintain on your own forever. At some point, everyone reaches a limit. But then comes a different kind of invitation. Those who wait on the Lord. This is where many people misunderstand. Waiting here does not mean doing nothing. It doesn't mean being passive or stuck. It means shifting where your expectation comes from. It means no longer depending only on your own ability to carry everything. It is a posture of the heart, a moment where you stop trying to control everything and allow yourself to be sustained in a different way. And then comes the promise. They will renew their strength, not replace it once, not give a temporary relief. Renew, that means strength that comes back again, and again, and again. A strength that doesn't depend on perfect circumstances, but on connection. And the image used is not random. To soar like eagles means rising above what once weighed you down. To run and not grow weary means continuing forward without being consumed. To walk and not faint means having endurance even in the ordinary, quiet moments of life. This is not about escaping your reality. It's about being strengthened within it. When this passage says that your strength can be renewed, it is not talking about a sudden emotional high that disappears after a few hours. It is revealing a deeper process, something that happens from the inside out. Most people hear these words and imagine instant relief. They expect the weight to disappear, the mind to quiet, the situation to change. But the kind of strength this psalm speaks about does not begin by changing what is around you. It begins by transforming what is happening within you. Renewing your strength means restoring what has been drained over time. The pressure you've been carrying, the thoughts you've been fighting, the emotional weight that keeps building quietly. All of that leaves marks. It weakens your ability to respond, to think clearly, to keep going with peace. And this is where the meaning becomes real. God is not offering you borrowed strength for a moment. He is offering you a new source of strength, a strength that is not based on how much you can endure, but on how deeply you are connected. Because when you rely only on yourself, every problem feels heavier. Every uncertainty feels threatening. Every delay feels like failure. But when your strength is being renewed from a deeper place, something changes. The problems may still exist, but they no longer control your inner state. You begin to respond differently. You begin to breathe differently. You begin to carry things without being crushed by them. And this is subtle, but powerful. Renewed strength is not always loud. Sometimes it shows up as calm in the middle of chaos, as clarity when your mind used to be overwhelmed, as the ability to keep going without feeling like you're falling apart inside. It's the moment where you realize the situation didn't change, but something in me did, and that is the kind of strength that lasts. Think about your daily life for a moment. The responsibilities, the expectations, the pressure to keep everything together. The decisions you have to make, the thoughts that don't stop, the silent worries about the future. It builds up slowly, until one day you realize you are not just tired. You are carrying more than you were meant to carry alone. Some people are exhausted from trying to be strong for everyone else. Others are drained from uncertainty, from not knowing what comes next. Some are overwhelmed by problems that seem to have no immediate solution, and many are simply worn out from fighting thoughts that never give them peace. And the hardest part is that this doesn't always look dramatic from the outside. You can still function, you can still smile, you can still show up, but inside, everything feels heavier than it should. This is exactly where this message connects with real life, because the promise of renewed strength is not for a perfect moment when everything is resolved. It is for this moment, when things are still unclear, when the pressure is still present, when the answers have not fully come yet. And here is what begins to shift. When your strength is being renewed, you don't stop facing life. You start facing it differently. What used to overwhelm you begins to lose its intensity. What used to control your thoughts begins to loosen its grip. What once felt unbearable becomes something you can carry without breaking. Not because the situation became easier, but because you are no longer trying to carry it from the same place inside you. And this is deeply practical. It shows up in how you react when something goes wrong, in how you handle delays and frustrations, in how you deal with uncertainty without collapsing into fear. It is strength that stabilizes you internally, even when life around you is unstable. And when you begin to live from that place, something powerful happens. You stop being defined by what you are going through and start being sustained in the middle of it. There is a subtle pattern that drains more strength than most people realize, and it often goes unnoticed. It is the habit of trying to carry everything alone, not just physically, but internally. Holding every worry in your mind, trying to solve every problem by yourself, feeling responsible for outcomes you cannot fully control, living as if everything depends entirely on you. At first, it feels like responsibility. It feels like strength. It even feels necessary. But over time, it becomes a weight that your soul was never designed to sustain. Because when everything depends on you, rest becomes impossible. Your mind keeps working even when your body is still. Your thoughts keep turning even when nothing is happening. You are always trying to anticipate, fix, manage, control. And slowly, without noticing, your strength begins to fade. This is the silent mistake, not weakness, but self-dependence in areas where you were never meant to rely only on yourself. And this is exactly where the message of the psalm becomes deeply practical. Those who wait on the Lord. This is not about inactivity. It is about releasing the illusion that you have to hold everything together on your own. It is a shift from internal pressure to internal trust. Because as long as you believe that everything depends on you, your mind will never rest. Your heart will never feel safe, and your strength will always be limited to what you can produce. But when that begins to change, something inside you starts to breathe again. You begin to let go of the need to control every outcome. You stop carrying conversations in your head that haven't even happened. You release the constant tension of trying to prevent every possible problem. And in that space, strength starts to return. Not forced, not manufactured, but restored. Because now, you're no longer drawing from a source that runs out. You are connected to something deeper, something that sustains you even when you don't feel at your best. And this changes the way you live. You are still responsible. You still act. You still move forward. But you are no longer carrying the weight in the same way. At some point, something begins to shift inside you. Not because everything around you changed, but because the way you see it is no longer the same. You start to realize that strength was never meant to come from constant tension. It was never meant to come from holding everything together by force. That way of living only creates pressure, and pressure always leads to exhaustion. The psalm invites you into a different posture, not one of control, but of trust. Not one of striving, but of alignment. And this is where the change becomes real. Because when you stop trying to sustain yourself through your own effort alone, you begin to notice something new. There is a quiet stability that starts forming within you. A sense that you are no longer facing everything by yourself. This doesn't make you passive. It makes you grounded. You still take action, but without the same internal chaos. You still make decisions, but without the same level of fear. You still move forward, but without feeling like everything depends on your performance. This is what it means to wait on the Lord in a real practical way. It is an inner repositioning, a moment where your thoughts stop racing ahead of your life and begin to settle into the present, where your heart is no longer driven by anxiety, but anchored in something deeper than your circumstances. And when that happens, something powerful begins to emerge. Clarity where there used to be confusion, calm where there used to be tension, endurance where there used to be burnout. Not because your life became easier, but because you are no longer trying to live it from a place of constant pressure. You begin to understand that strength is not something you have to force into existence. It is something that flows when you are connected to the right source. And once you experience this shift, even for a moment, it becomes clear. You were never meant to carry everything the way you've been carrying it. Now this becomes something you can actually live, not just understand. Because if strength can be renewed, then it must also be accessed in a practical way. Not through complicated steps, not through pressure, but through simple, intentional shifts in how you move through your day. It begins in the quiet moments. Before the day pulls you in different directions, before the noise of responsibilities takes over, there is a small window where you can choose where your strength will come from. Instead of immediately entering into worry, into planning every possible outcome, into mentally carrying everything, you pause. Not to escape reality, but to realign within it. You bring your attention back to what this passage revealed, that you don't have to generate strength on your own, that you don't have to solve everything at once, that you are not alone in what you are facing. And in that pause, something shifts. Your thoughts begin to slow down, your breathing becomes more steady, your inner state becomes less reactive. This is not a ritual. It is a repositioning. Throughout the day, this continues in small decisions. When your mind starts to spiral, instead of following every thought, you return to that same place of trust. When pressure rises, instead of tightening internally, you allow yourself to release what you cannot control. When exhaustion begins to build, you stop demanding more from yourself than what is needed in that moment. This is how strength is renewed in real life. Not all at once, but consistently. It shows up in how you speak to yourself, in how you interpret situations, in how you respond instead of react. And over time, something becomes clear. You are no longer running on empty. You are being sustained, even in the middle of everything you have to face. Take a moment and bring your attention inward. Not to analyze, not to fix, just to notice. Notice how much you've been carrying lately. The thoughts that keep repeating, the pressure that doesn't seem to turn off, the silent weight that follows you even when everything around you looks normal. You don't have to push it away right now. Just acknowledge it, because there is something powerful in being honest about what you feel without trying to hide it or immediately solve it. And in this space, something begins to open. You realize that you've been trying to stay strong for too long without allowing yourself to be restored. You've been moving forward without pausing long enough to reconnect with the source of your strength. And maybe this is the moment where that changes. Not through effort, but through awareness. You are not as alone as your thoughts make it seem. You are not as far from strength as you feel. And you are not required to carry everything the way you have been. Let that settle inside you. There is no pressure to perform here. No need to prove anything. just a quiet recognition that what you've been feeling matters, and that it can be met with something deeper than your own effort. Stay in that awareness for a moment, because sometimes the beginning of renewed strength is not doing more. It is allowing yourself to stop and receive. What you feel right now does not define the end of your strength. It reveals where a new kind of strength can begin. Not the kind that depends on your energy, your mood, or your circumstances, but the kind that is renewed, sustained, and rebuilt from a deeper place. You may still have the same responsibilities, the same questions, the same situations waiting for you, but something inside you has already started to change. Because now you understand that strength is not something you have to chase. It is something you can receive. And that changes how you move forward. You no longer need to prove that you can handle everything. You no longer need to carry every outcome in your mind. You no longer need to exhaust yourself trying to stay in control. There is a different way to walk through your day, with more calm, even if things are uncertain, with more clarity, even if answers are not immediate, with more endurance, even if the process takes time. This is what it means to be sustained instead of drained. And as you continue, step by step, something becomes clear. You are not empty. You are just disconnected from the source that restores you. And now that connection has been reopened, strength will return. Clarity will come. Peace will begin to take space where pressure once lived. Not all at once, but in a way that lasts. And today does not have to be another day of just getting through. It can be the day where you begin again, from a place of renewed strength.